Hey, everybody. Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. So, hey, welcome to Office Hours, everybody. Let's see if you guys can get in here. Oh, good. All right. So, hey, welcome, everybody. Welcome. Hey, awesome. Hey, Eric. Hey, John. Great to see you guys. So, I have something kind of cool signed up for today. Set up for today. Let's just say I'm going to do something that I think is cool today. So, I have a recording session that if you want to call it that. I have some tracks that I'm supposed to dub today for somebody. And so I have two mics set up here. I have a mic on this amp, the tube amp that's covered over here, which you can't see because it's got that really dark, heavy weighted blanket over the top of it. And then I've got this Royer acoustic guitar mic that we're going to use in a minute. And I was going to show you guys just kind of how I would run a session here and kind of get the levels right, and then answer any questions you might have in addition to that. So the track is called "What a Friend," and it's by this artist named Fisher. I don't know much more than that. Basically, I'm told to play a raucous guitar solo on it. So it's in the key of A flat. Hey, great to see you. It's in the key of A flat, and so the first thing I would kind of do after I've listened back a couple times would be pick out a guitar, pick out an amp, pick out, usually I kind of use the same microphone setup every time, but potentially try some different preamps or some different approaches if I really needed to. I think doing too much of that can get you in trouble. Hey there, Tom K7660. Great to see you from Colorado. What time is it in Colorado? I guess 7:30. Right. So basically I would do that, and I would end up with kind of a tone that I want to use. So this is the tone I came up with for hey, Marilee, great to see you. Well, you're right on time. We just started. This is the tone I came up with for raucous guitar soloing. Somebody's going to have to help me with this. Heinrich Dom, man. I learned how to say this once for a Fender Play Live episode, and I can't say it again. Anyways, it's a Charvel. And you know what's great about this guitar is you don't care if you bump it into the desk because it actually increases value if you bump it into the desk. It has been bumped a couple times. I have this off because I'm working on. It doesn't say the whole name. Anyways, this guitar has a great Seymour Duncan in the bridge, which has a really killing lead tone. So kind of like, I really love Warren DeMartini's electric guitar solo tone. I guess George Lynch probably would be another one I love. I also love the Scorpions, their guitar tone. That's a little bit too reverbed out for this, but so. When you're hearing this type of a sound, the main thing is I want to get enough saturation that I really feel like I'm going to be able to play complex lead parts without kind of having the sound on you, right? So you can stretch out. It's almost a little bit more saturation than you would normally think is acceptable if you like the tones that I do, which is kind of more along the lines of a Steely Dan type of a guitar solo sound. So that's for the lead guitar part. Now, for the acoustic guitar, and don't hesitate if you guys have any questions, by the way, and I'll stop in a bit and just take questions too. But for the acoustic guitar, let me see here. I have a really great mic called a Royer mic. There's going to be some reverb on my voice now because the Royer's picking up and there's a little bit of reverb on it. Let me get rid of that. Just a moment. Sounds like I'm talking to you from the, there we go, from the church. So So ribbon mics. This is a rare 122 F, I believe. Yeah, because it's not a vacuum tube; it's a FET tube mic. Or excuse me, a FET mic, not a vacuum tube mic. So these get just the most full-bodied sound that you can imagine. In fact, I have the bass roll off on this because without it, it would be extremely bassy, and it's still a little bassy now. So later on, I'll have to go and edit the guitar tone just a bit, and you can kind of hear how it might need some EQing when you hear the full guitar sound. It's just a little bit bigger than an acoustic guitar would ever be in a room necessarily. But I like to start with that big fat tone. I can always sculpt it later on and make it as small as you want. We can make it sound like a tambourine later, right? So the big trick on this is you get a really nice, pricey ribbon mic, and then you run it really hot through a preamp, and you get a great tone out of that. And then it's just about getting in. You want to get your input level right to the point where it's about to sort of gain out. So if I hit the guitar really hard, it'll actually probably go over 0 and go into linear distortion. So, but for the where I'm going to be playing on this track that he sent, it's finger style. So I'm going to be there. So it sounds really full and bright, and it's got a ton of character to it. So, it's as much about the tone of the recording that you send as it is the playing. And in some senses, it might even be more important. And so when I hear older country albums, or I'll hear like a Korn song, or I'll hear, it doesn't matter what genre it is, the tone just has such a huge amount of influence over the way the sound is perceived. So, all right, let's see how we're doing here. So, John, so the piezo sound, I always wonder if I'm saying that right. Piezo. Let's go with piezo. Let's do that one. The piezo sound is, in a weird way, if the guitar isn't supposed to dominate, if it's not a color for the song really, then the piezo might be fine. In fact, if you have too big of a guitar sound, it takes up such amount of the frequency span that you really do need to carve it out. But generally, I agree with you. I hear so much pick, and I hear a lot of just kind of a range that's sort of ice picky to the ears a lot of times out of piezos. Greg, is that a Martin, or what kind is it? Great question, Greg. So this is a Blue Ridge guitar, if you guys have ever heard of that. So it's obviously modeled after a famous Martin, but these are obviously much cheaper, and I think they're actually not that cheap though. I think they're about $1,000, maybe a little more than that now. But they sound amazing, and they hold up fairly well. I've actually had to replace the bridge on this guitar once, and you can see this is just normal acoustic guitar stuff though, like the split in the body. So some acoustic guitars just don't handle the dry weather or the wet weather as well, and they split. But honestly, I know that's, like, from an aesthetic point of view, that's something that would be concerning to most folks. To me, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't do anything to the tone of the guitar. It doesn't. In fact, if anything, it's less likely to split again. The only issue here is, so if you look at this guitar, see where I'm facing. If you look at this guitar, you can see that how high this bridge is on the guitar. Do you see that? So the higher that is, the more likely this lip of the bridge is likely to break. And that's what happens a lot with these. So if you play them a lot and you use reasonably high gauge strings, I don't use that high. These are probably 12s. But it's going to be a lot of tension on there. So this has to be shaved down more to have less breaks here at the bridge. And that does that does become an issue. This is actually a replacement entire bridge piece from the Blue Ridge company, and it's a holdings company that you have to order it from, so it's not like you can just call up Blue Ridge and get it. But this has a second round of tuners on it. The original tuners, it's probably my fault, but one of the pegs broke, and so I had to replace. I was going to replace the peg, and I just replaced the whole thing. But so this guitar actually records really, really well. If I get on mic. So. So it has a really a nice top end shine, and then it doesn't have so much bass that you actually have to roll off the EQ a ton to use it. And the guitars that I love that sound amazing to me in a room are usually kind of bigger bodied guitars, especially some of the Gibson acoustics, the ones with mustache bridges on them. Martins, obviously. These things sound amazing. They're really expensive, right? I mean, really expensive. So they better sound amazing. If you could buy a Hyundai Sonata or that guitar, it better do a lot. But those guitars sometimes don't record quite as well unless you use mic placement that's really far away. And if you use mic placement that's really far away, you're going to have to be in a legit sound controlled room. And so for those of us that are recording, in a makeshift studio, it's going to be something that we need to do more direct miking. And so a big bassy guitar doesn't always work as well in that instance. Although I do love the sound of those guitars. Thank you, Greg. John, so I think you said, is much. I thought you said how much. I've seen these again. I've seen these online on Reverb for $1,200. Maybe they're $1,800 new now. When I got it, it might have been $1,000. I don't think it was new. But I'll tell you guys, we talk a lot about buying guitars, and I think it's a great conversation to talk a lot about because, for one thing, we're impromptu. I can speak freely. My take on buying guitars is, so if you know what you're looking for, I think that's a really important thing. And if you know what sound you want, I think that's a really important thing. So when we buy a type of guitar, a lot of times we're trying to emulate a sound. So an example might be like a Tom Petty tribute band. You need a telly. You need, what about a muffin for feedback? An actual muffin? That's right, those are called muffins. You know what? I don't get feedback on this very much. I like muffin better. Let's use the first take, guys. Let's face it, muffin's a marketable term. I just don't get feedback very much. On the bigger guitars that have more cavernous space, you definitely have a better shot of that. On hollow bodies, I tend to get feedback. But so I'm looking for a particular sound when I go in. I generally just go to the music store, play the guitars, and if I absolutely can't live without one of them, I'm probably going to leave with that guitar. It almost doesn't matter if it's the best deal in history or if I could shop around forever, or there's going to be so many factors that made me just want to keep playing that guitar, like the way it sounded, the way it played, just a lot of things, right? Some of it could just be the way I feel that day, which is dangerous. But so think about that maybe. Sometimes when you guys buy guitars, maybe go to the store and see if you absolutely just fall in love with it, if you have time. I have bought guitars online and been happy with them too, though. I'll say that. So, I don't know if this helps at all, you guys, but that's kind of the general approach to the two recording styles. I think it's great to use in-the-box recording stuff too, though. And I'll take any questions. What are you guys working on? So John says, I did a thing on Friday, got rid of a couple guitars and got a Gretsch hollow body with gold foil pickups. Ooh. Yeah, see, I don't actually have a Gretsch, John, and I really want to get one. I just have to find the right one. A lot of the Gretsches, I just never. I just got, I need to play them more. Is what it is. But there's a couple people here in town that are really great studio musicians. These are older folks that have been around for a long time, and they play Gretches. And I'll go out to maybe watch them with an artist, and it's like, wow, man, that guitar sounds amazing. A lot of it probably has to do with the person playing too. But yeah, Gretsch is the next frontier for me. Another one I want to get really bad is an SG with a Vibramate on it. I think I talked about that last time. I'm still on the market. Yeah, but so what are you guys working on? What's the latest for you? I can tell you what I'm going to teach in class tomorrow when I teach at the college. One of the things we're working on right now is connecting, depending upon which course it is, connecting pentatonic positions just to teach them how to practice. I think we did this last time here too, but maybe as a recap. So if you know the A minor pentatonic position, connecting it with the position above, and that really helps students learn. It's a pretty easy scale to learn two positions of it. It really helps them learn how to practice, is what I've noticed. Another big one we're working on is just being able to play some counterpoint lines and different lines that they're learning in different songs. So I've been stoked about that. It's been really fun to teach that. Yeah, but what are you guys working on? What are some songs you guys are working on? I'll tell you. I played a gig with a buddy that was in town over the weekend, and we played one of my favorites. Was just This is a tough song to sing and play, by the way. Luckily, I didn't have to sing it, except the backgrounds. Wanted to play Summertime forever. Wait, which Summertime? Summertime by Van Halen? Summertime Girls? Or Summertime and the Living is Easy. I don't know who that's by either. Anonymous. Is that the right Summertime, John? That one, so let's see. If I was going to play that one, I'd probably have to go with whatever the singer wants to sing it in. Tempting Zeps. Ooh, man, that's awesome. Yeah, Tom. Porgy and Bess, yeah. The original. Oh, Eric, good for you, Sublime. That's awesome. Which Sublime song? So, Tom, what's giving you trouble on the I'm Gonna Leave You? Something clicked in my head, but it's likely wrong. Oh, you have? Marilee. Well, hey, you know what? For about 2 years, good golly, you should be teaching me how to. No. Yeah. So, yeah, Marilee, have you ever watched, there's a couple of Joni Mitchell concerts that I have students in a American Popular Music class watch. And one of them, I don't know, I'm not sure how old she is, but I can tell she's just not trying to move her fingers too fast. I don't know if she can or not, but she's not trying to. And there's something that's really quaint about the whole thing. Just like it's almost the equivalent of like vintage for a live performance in the way that there's some delay in it. You know what? Willie Nelson's a great example of this. There's like a little bit of delay in his playing, and it's laid back. It sounds really good, actually. So sometimes you lean into it. You lean into it instead of try to play your way out of it. Oh yeah. So oh, I see what you're talking about, Eric. Summertime, and then, yeah. That's off the first album. So John, if I was trying to play like I'm a drummer and a guitar player, that's how I'd probably fill the whole thing in for an artist. If I had a bass player and I had a band behind me and there's a singer, I'd probably play way more. Yes, John, that's it, exactly. And if you go back and listen to his earlier playing, especially when he was younger, it's way less behind the beat. Another great example of this would be Miles Davis. So you hear, if you guys go back and listen to really early Miles Davis, there's a song called Milestones, not the second Milestones, but the first one. It's full on, it's full bebop. I mean, it's Benzedrine and everybody's... by the time we hear the most iconic Miles Davis stuff, so or he's just playing. He's playing way behind the beat. He is the oldest guy in the band. He's got a bunch of young whippersnappers, including John Coltrane there, and he's leaning into the vintage instead of trying to work his way around it. So I don't know. I think that's the way to win life, is you like lean into where you're at. Hey Bruce, great to see you on Electric. Sultans of Swing. Ramble on. Ramble on. Sorry. Yeah, Sultans of Swing is a great one. So are you working on the solo of that, Richard, too? My friend sings Willie Nelson with a clothespin clamped on his nose, Craig. I'm sorry. That is awesome. I got to remember to tell Eugene that. Maybe we should try that for an episode. Oh, that is killer. Okay, sorry. I'll get on track. So, so John, so those would be if I had a drummer and a bass player and a singer's there, I'd probably play something a little bit more. If I can get this out of the way of the camera, something that's a little bit more chordally lush instead of trying to keep the beat as much. So it might be. Or if it's a different style, so I'm gonna if I'm filling the space. Mr. John. So I'm thinking a lot more, almost like a Rhodes player, but playing by myself, I would definitely be trying to keep a lot of rhythm, and so I can feel like I have a drummer there. It's a lot more fun to play like that. Okay, so going back up here, sometime I'm going to leave you. Yeah, so Tom, tell me what aspect of that is a challenge for you? Maybe I can help you with that a little bit. So Eric was just mentioning Sublime, that's right. Okay, Marilee says, it's really hard for me to memorize the scale degrees. I know the root notes, but everything else requires a lot of thinking. So, okay. So when you say memorize the scale degrees, Marilee, do you mean like the actual numbers or the names of the notes in the scale, or do you mean literally where your fingers go? Because I think if we were to interview some of the most famous players in history, especially on guitar, and ask them what scale degree they're playing, I don't think they're going to be able to tell us, because it just wasn't primal to being able to play guitar really well. It was just primal to being able to talk about guitar really well, or to teach guitar well in some cases. But I think we should all remember that, the oldest tradition of learning on an instrument is the same tradition of learning how to speak when you're a baby, which is just mimicry. So some part of guitar playing doesn't make sense or is not intellectually, it's hard to carry with you, then I think then you just drop it and just go back to playing. So like gospel, this is one of the reasons that gospel music is so much fun to play, regardless of your religious orientation, is because it is a total oral tradition, and the constant thing that you're doing is somebody's playing a line, and you are constantly learning how to be able to, in real time, play exactly what somebody else is playing, and you just get better and better at it day after day. So they'll be singing something. And you work and you start to think in sections. You start to think in A, B, and antecedent, consequent, or question, answer type of phrasing, and listening for those types of differences between two phrases. But even then, I don't think any of that has to be intellectual. I think that can be entirely ear. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to think at all. If we listen to some of the best jazz players, like the most complex music players in history, they're going to tell us you only practice all of this so that you can not think about it later on, because if I have to think about it, then it's we ruin the solo or whatever. We ruin the song. So I hope, so if you're having trouble thinking about it, just don't think. Just do shapes. Use your ear as much as possible. And for some people, they have a real struggle with their, you don't have to, anybody in here, you don't have to admit it, but if you have a lot of trouble with your ear, it's a great place to get started. Really kind of like doing self-reflection. So for a lot of, I'll give you an example. I'll tell you guys a story. So when I was, I'm 42. When I was 18, I went off to school, to music school, and I thought I was a pretty good musician, and I could actually sing. So that wasn't going to be as much of a challenge for me, but there was really talented musicians that were in this aural skills classes. And aural skills class means that the teacher might play something, and you have to sing it back, and then you have to notate it back. So let's say the teacher plays that whole phrase, right? Which is really two phrases with different endings, if you heard that. Might play it 2 or 3 times, and then you write it down, and then they move on to another one. You're like, there was a lot of students, there's probably only 10 people in the class, but over the years, there's a lot of students that really just could not sing back a line. They couldn't match pitch. It was impossible for them to do it. It seemed like it was. So some of the tools that this professor did at that time was he would have people hold their hand in front of their mouth so that their voice was projected back at them. So they'd maybe try to sing that back. Is, but they would try to sing it back, and they would okay, so he would put your hand in front of your face. Okay, so then you put your hand in front of your face and you sing into your hand, and you could hear the reflection of your voice a little bit better. That's step 1 or 2 maybe. Okay, the next step would be to try humming, because this is either difficulty matching pitch, or it's difficulty being able to support it with breath. And that means if you hum, so you're going to have to sing from your diaphragm while you're humming, because you can't, well, it's partially true, but we'll just leave it that way to make it simple. So humming is going to be another way to really work on pitch. And you just have to slow it way back and try to match one pitch at a time sometimes. It's a real challenge for people when it's a challenge. The other one would be the rhythm challenge. And a lot of times the rhythm challenge is even tougher because people don't realize they don't have innately good rhythm, and they have to come to Jesus moment where they realize, oh crap, my rhythm is an abomination, actually. But that's the good news about that is then you know what to work on, what to fix. Boy, my hand, sorry about the hand. It's a lot of hand there. So we got the Willie Nelson with the clothespin. We got, Mary says, I know the pentatonic shapes very well. Oh, okay. I know the cage very well, but I can't immediately pick the scale degree by number. I got you. How about by ear, Mary? How's it when you do it that? John says, I've wondered if it's easier to kazoo back. If you want to have incredible breath control, a kazoo will make you really, really potent as a singer. You will have tons of power behind your voice if you sing through a kazoo. You can also sing through a straw. It's another famous one. Eric says it's almost as though there's a reason metronomes are mentioned so often. Yeah, it's true, but I mean, gosh, it's almost like metronomes are like doing your taxes. I'm pulling one up right now. Doing your taxes for playing. I mean, it makes you conform, and that's why most people don't want to do it, because now you have to think about what you're doing, but also compartmentalize yourself to attach to this object over here that is moving in a completely objective time and space. And that's a really tough thing. Pull one up here. So I use a metronome a lot. I'll show it to you guys. I don't know if it's going to come up on the camera. It's called Time Guru. Let me see if I can get the... That's what the... Oh, boy. Well, you can't really see it, can you? I'll try closing it. Bear with me. Oh, no. It just pulls right up to... Anyways, it's called Time Guru. I promise. And what it will allow me to do... Let me turn off this gate so you guys can hear exactly what I'm talking about here. So if I don't have the gate on, you hear every little noise in the room, including this metronome. Okay. So this is just one click for every beat, right? Now I can select and keep out maybe beat 3 or beat 2 every time. So this is 1. So what that does is that makes it so that I actually have to be able to hear I have to be able to hear and feel those beats that are not being counted for me by a metronome. The other great way to do this would be to make this 2 and 4. So if I set this to a relatively slow tempo, so there's 74 beats per minute. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you get the idea. So basically, that's only giving me beats 2 and 4, which is going to be tricky in the beginning. But even if you can count while that's going on, so this is 2, 4, 2. You just start by counting 2, 4, 2, 4. Then 2, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Now you try to play a chord on 1. That's 1 and 3. So later on, when you go to feel rhythm in your you can really imply beats in your rhythm hand, and that's probably one of the biggest rhythmic breakthroughs that all guitar college students have. Is like, oh, can I adhere to a beat, but it's not on every single beat, so I have to keep track of the ones that are in between. Then when the metronome is taken away, I can really imply rhythm well, because I can sort of keep track of the beats on my own and have objective, consistent time. I hope that makes some sense. So Derek says, gotta do it once a year, and nobody likes it. It's like getting your teeth cleaned. Supposed to do it twice a year. Tom says, I just have to practice. I'll get it eventually. My hands are small side, so chord stretches are hard. Fingers are touching. Other strings are being... Yeah. Everybody's gonna have to excuse if heard this too many times, so I apologize. But Tom, I want to make sure you get this note. So it's probably an over example by me in terms of the song, but worrying about the muting and whether you get to the chord on time and whether your fingers are touching some of the strings is almost like it's important. It's not the most important thing. So I'll give you an example. So if everybody's going to know this song. Not everybody, but if you were born after or before 1990, I think you know this. Okay, so this is Night Moves by Bob Seger, right? So you'll hear that when you hear the playing, you're hearing a lot of open strings. You're hearing some of the chord. There's not every single note of the chord is heard. But the main thing you're hearing is like a tambourine. Think of a guitar like a tambourine and a little bit less about whether every single note of a chord comes out. Because if I keep the tambourine going, see, I missed some of these notes. I don't even have the right chord there. So now I'm just playing all the strings, but you don't care as much as the listener because you can still participate. And my singing, if I am Bob Seger, could have used a few pounds. Anyways, you're going to be able to pay attention to the vocals even if I don't get the chord in the right place. Even if I play the wrong chord one time. As I just stay on, you'll get over it. But if I'm overly concerned about every single note coming out cleanly, then what happens is I get too granular and into minutia. And a lot of these people were stoned. Just joking. Actually, no, they were definitely stoned. So, they weren't caught up in any of the minutia. Rory, hey, great to see you. Rory, you're a trooper, man. I don't know what time it is in Scotland right now, but it's late as all get out is what time it is. Does tapping your foot help? So tapping your foot can help. It depends on whether you tap your foot in time. So I think putting the music in your body definitely helps. So when I'm playing this part, for example, the music I'm using my torso as a foot. I also have this as a pendulum, which means I can't really I can't be absolutely exacting with this because absolute exacting is not going to be is not going to have as much of a pendulum effect, right? So tapping your foot especially helps with something more intricate. So let's say it's a So that's going to really help me keep track of where the beat is if I have a syncopated part that's in the song. So I think tapping your foot really helps there. As far as like professional musicians, you can tap your foot on stage for sure. They don't want you to tap the foot in the studio because you can hear it. So tapping your foot, I tap my foot. I think it's Roy. Yeah. This next segment is sponsored by Diet Dr. Pepper. Do the pepper. John says, any advice for making Hendrix F shape? As soon as I hang my thumb out over the top, my other fingers flatten and mute the higher strings. Okay, so making the Hendrix F shape. So, I think playing with your thumb in general is one of those deals where it either comes to you easily and you should do it, or I think it doesn't come to you easily and then it's almost not all that useful, right? But the times where you have to do it are when you have to mute strings, or there's certain guitar things where you have to use your thumb. The song, do you guys know the song So I'm doing that without my thumb. I can't remember the name. It's a John Mayer song. I can't think of the name of it. Neon. Neon. So there's a... all that's with his thumb. And so that lays on his hand really well. On this guitar, it has such a fat neck on it. It's actually pretty hard for me to play with my thumb up there. So I would say, John, if it doesn't come all that naturally, I'd skip it. I wouldn't worry about it unless you have to do it. Because I think it's it just might not be necessary. Now, if you're talking about castles made of sand or something like that, and it's hard to get the tone that he's getting out of it, then you may have to do it. In that case, yeah. So you got it, John. I think Jimi Hendrix had pretty long fingers, like pretty big hands. And the people I know that use their thumb all the time generally have pretty big hands, or they played acoustic guitar exclusively in the beginning, and they really wanted to play like, I don't know, Dave Matthews or somebody like that. And so, yeah, Wind Cries Mary, yeah. And you know what? I don't have any, because it is kind of tricky. Maybe the only thing I can think of is if you have a neck that has a smaller profile, that's going to make it way easier. But because he would have been playing a neck like a late 60s, I don't know which one he would have played, because he actually played Gibsons some of the time too. So I don't know what he plays on Wind Cries Mary, but let's say it's a Strat. Those necks had really flat radiuses. I'm sorry, really round radiuses. So they're not even, no. Yeah, they're not. There's really no. This is just something he did all the time. So I guess maybe the only trick I can come up with is to spend a few minutes every day doing it. Just a little bit of time every day is going to help wire your nervous system. It's not going to be easy to do this in any one session. The same thing, whoever mentioned stretching earlier, I think it was you, Tom. So as far as stretching goes, stretching is as much about only putting pressure in the right places as it is about the stretch itself. So let's say it's a really large chord. So this is a G major add 9. So if we had like a heat map of my hand right now, you would see there's some pressure here. In fact, you can almost see the indentations. There's some pressure here, here, and then right at the tips of my fingers. And then there's no wasted, close to no wasted pressure. And if I have a bunch of tension in my hand and I want to stretch it, this is what's going to make it really hard. So the stretching of your hand is as much about only using the right amount of pressure as it is about the stretching itself. So the way that I help students get over that in the beginning is not through like some sort of Spanish Inquisition like stretching machine necessarily. It's going to be taking and arpeggiating the chord that they're trying to stretch into. So it would be a great song to try to do this. What is it? And then eventually trying to do it where you... I'm not going to hit both of those notes just so I can make it a chord. Sorry. So I think arpeggiating the chord will really help you feel where just the pressure points that you need to make on the guitar are. And then when you go to play it as a stretched chord, it'll be a lot easier. That assumes the issue was about stretching with chords. If it wasn't, Tom, and it's just stretching while you're playing single notes, so that's going to be working on legato. So if I have trouble stretching when I'm just playing single note lines, let's say I have to move my finger out there and come back. If I work on playing legato, which is hard on acoustic, but I mean, if I work on that, that's really going to allow me to stretch well, because the only way I'm going to get good legato tone is if I am only pressing in the right places on the guitar. So hopefully that helps a little bit. I have to use my thumb because of the chord progression. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people do. I'll tell you part of the reason I don't use my thumb as much unless it's mandatory is because when I was younger, when I was playing guitar the most, I played classical guitar a lot because that's what I thought I wanted to do. And that's not happening. They don't use the thumb. They decided long ago to injure themselves rather than use the thumb. So form over function. Yeah. Eric, I think it's definitely thumb is the rocker hold for sure. For surezies. So I guess the moral of all this is like to go with your anatomy on this. Whatever lays the best on your hand, I think is the way to roll. And honestly, if I was trying to play with a Wind Cries Mary and I couldn't get it to sound just like him because my thumb wasn't cooperating, I wouldn't care. I mean, what are they going to do to me? If I was in a Jimi Hendrix tribute, or I did like a Quentin Tarantino musical a while back, and I had to play some things in the style of different guitar players, and like Dick Dale or somebody like that. And so it was like, all right, I got to be exacting. Or if you're doing a tribute band. But other than that, I just think life is too short to rake yourself over the coals. And the same thing, merrily, if you can't remember the one thought is to write it down and put it in front of you as far as the scale degrees go. So if you write it down and put it in front of you because you have all the shapes recognized, and then just rely on the visual of it for a while and then break off of that. But another thing, merrily, is I don't know if when you're playing guitar, I know you probably sit like this and play guitar a lot, which is great, by the way. But if you always keep the music stand in the field of vision of your left hand, you're really going to be able to see your hand, see the music stand, and not have to continually reconfigure yourself to be able to read what you're doing, come back here. I see a lot of that as students of all abilities, actually. And or kids will come in, their juries, and they're like legit guitar players at a semi-professional, not professional level, and they'll set the music stand over here to do some reading. And it's like, well, why would you do that to yourself? Because you're going to have to, either you got to guess what's happening over here, or you're going to have to look at it, and you're probably going to make some mistakes trying to get back into position. So keep the music stand where you can see it while you're playing with your left hand. So usually, if you're assuming you're right-handed, keep it off to the left-hand side in the field of vision of your hand so that you can see it out of your peripheral vision, your hand, and then the music stand you can focus on. So I hope that helps you guys. These are great. I think so a lot of it's like what I always wanted to do with Fender office hours. I can't always do. But speaking of that, some of the Fender, the Fender office hours have been fantastic lately, I got to say. But this Thursday, I'm doing a Fender office hour at 3 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. So I hope you guys can all come, and I will have entirely new and different, exciting things to say, of course. But if you guys can do me a huge favor, make sure you are subscribed to our channel. Make sure you like this video, if you will. And then I'll make sure I like it too. That will really help us out. And then eventually, I'm working on a bunch of content to put up on our Patreon page, because I want to make sure we can keep Eugene. Eugene's going to need to make money as he gets older, so I want to help him. And he's got a lot of stuff to share too, and both of us have a lot of things we want to build out. A whole lesson library. So I've been working on it for a while now, and it's on its way up there. But this is all a prequel to moving it on to Patreon, and many of you are already members on Patreon anyway. So yeah, I hope so, Eric. Thanks so much for being here. And then I will see you guys Wednesday if you want to come to Outlaw Country with me and Eugene. Thursday, office hours at 3 o'clock. And otherwise, I'll see you on the flip side. So thank you guys so much for being here today. You guys, this was a great office hours. Rory, get some sleep. So I hope you guys have a great evening. And I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys soon. Thanks, everybody.